Hello, my name is Courtney Everett. I'm a member of the Student Advisory Board here at KSU for the Counseling and Psychological Services Department. And I wanted to thank you for tuning in to our So You Think You Can't Pass workshop. We have different workshops that focus on academic success in students, and this workshop is focused on test anxiety. So let's get right into it. Today's workshop is going to be covering what anxiety is, what is test anxiety, and what can be done about test anxiety, whether that's before a test, after a test, and during a test. And we're also going to take a moment to practice a prescribed breathing technique. So give yourself a second to think about what anxiety is. What kind of experiences do you have with anxiety? What kind of symptoms comes with it? Just think about what you think about. What is something that comes to your mind when you hear the term of anxiety? Here's a quote somebody said describing what anxiety, that experience can be like. It says, living with anxiety is like being followed by a voice. It knows all your insecurities and uses them against you. It gets to the point when it's the loudest voice in the room, the only one you can hear. So that's just how somebody has that anxiety experience. Just think about what's something you may experience when you think about anxiety. What is anxiety? So let's put a definition to this term. Anxiety involves feelings of worry, fear, nervousness, and apprehension, but it's something everybody experiences. Anxiety is a normal experience, and some levels of anxiety can actually be healthy. Our goal is never to remove all of anxiety from our lives. It's just to make it so it's manageable and it still allows us to active. So it's common to experience anxiety through physical symptoms and emotional symptoms as well, but we want to make sure it's manageable to a point in which it's not affecting our daily life. Here's a diagram that just kind of shows some of those physical symptoms people may experience while handling anxiety. We've got mind racing, we've got possible sleep disturbances, difficulty swallowing, trembling. Those are just a few of the things people experience while facing anxiety. Think about something you may have experienced. I know when I'm anxious, I get really shaky personally, and my mind will race, and I just kind of can't focus on anything. So people experience anxiety in a lot of different ways. This is the Yerkes-Dodson law, and this graph kind of depicts that. The Yerkes-Dodson law states that the performance increases within people physiologically or mentally based on a certain level of arousal. You can see that kind of depicted on this bell curve. There's an optimal level, kind of, which shows the certain level of arousal and the quality of performance within people. And you can see that without that level of arousal, there's actually a lower quality of performance, which leads to like boredom or unfocusedness. And then that high level of arousal, like the extreme level high, can cause panic, anxiety, and stress within people. So you really want to make sure you have that optimal level. Anxiety is kind of like a balancing act. There's that level of arousal and there's that quality of performance, and they have to be leveled out. So you don't want to have too much anxiety and you don't want to have too little anxiety. So anxiety can actually help improve our performance when it's manageable and it's not causing us to be like in extreme state of panic. So, like I said, anxiety is a balancing act. It's a reaction to the anticipation of something stressful, and a little anxiety can help keep you focused and motivated. However, having too much can cause you to go into a state of panic, can make you feel sick, and it can be very detrimental. So, it's really important that you have this balance and you know how to manage your anxiety. So, what is test anxiety? Test anxiety is not a mental disorder, but it is real and it is something many students face in college life and in school in general. Test anxiety is a product and consequence of ineffective study habits, poor time management, poor preparation skills, etc. Just kind of things that cause extreme worry and fear to students when going in to take a test. It's very real, very common, and a lot of students don't even realize they're experiencing test anxiety until they take the time to think about what kind of symptoms they're facing when taking a test or before a test and even after the test. Test anxiety is seen in all of these stages. So, test anxiety is a type of performance anxiety, and we feel extreme pressure to perform, to give a perfect performance. We feel pressured by family or peers, or even by societal beliefs. And our own competitiveness can actually influence this test anxiety. So our mind and our body starts reacting psychologically and physically. And we start focusing on bad things. We have negative thoughts. We're getting worried about doing poorly. And our experiences just kind of it just snowballs. It's just this negativity, and we're starting to get anxious and panicked. And all these symptoms can start to come up in dizziness or shortness of breath or just sweating and shaking. All of this is encompassed within test anxiety. It's just kind of something that, progresses into something worse as we keep thinking negatively. So, like I mentioned, thoughts are a really big factor within handling test anxiety. You want to make sure you're checking in with your thoughts because these contribute greatly to how we feel during, before, and after a test. And you want to see, what are we thinking about? Are we focusing too much on doing too negatively, or are we focusing on our own abilities or inability to do something or do well? You want to make sure that you stop thinking negatively because negative beliefs only increases anxiety. We start comparing ourselves to others, we worry, and it's not something that you really want to have to deal with while dealing with like a stress of a test or an exam. We can control the outcome of our studying or our tests by just taking moments before to prepare for it. So we can actually eliminate some of that test anxiety by, you know, learning how to handle it. Here's a good list that students can look at, and it helps them see what kind of ways test anxiety can be manifested. And you might not even realize that you've experienced some of these things until you kind of like read it out. So this list is, if you answer for yes to four more of these, then you might be experiencing some levels of test anxiety. Personally, I have a hard time getting ready to study or studying for a test, and I'll also find myself having my mind wandering or my mind will go blank during tests, and that's just kind of different ways test anxiety manifests for me. It can be kind of hard to deal with. Test anxiety, it's a tough feeling. It's not something people want to experience to the extreme levels because it can really hinge on your performance. You want to make sure you have that balance, that little anxiety to help you do better. So, what can be done? We're going to take a moment to talk about before the test. We're going to go over before the test, during the test, and after the test. Before the test, you can prepare yourself. You want to develop good study habits, and you want to organize material in ways that helps you study, helps you benefit you. And you want to use study guides or study groups. You really want to be prepared because being prepared helps you feel more calm, and having a good plan can relieve some of that anxiety. It makes you feel less anxious to know that you're ready for whatever's to come. And we also have approaching the task with confidence. Confidence goes a long way. You don't want to go into a task thinking, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I don't have the abilities to do this, because you can, and you can be successful. It's really just get be a little confident, get prepared, be ready, because it is possible to do well. You don't want to doubt yourself. Then you'll get stuck in that negative kind of cycle, and you don't want to have those negative thoughts hinging on your performance. You don't want to take the exam on an empty stomach, and you want to make sure you're incorporating brain foods before the test. Brain foods are like a big key. It can enhance your memory or it can help with concentration. It just kind of depends on what you want to incorporate in your diet. But you don't want to take a test on an empty stomach. Then you'll be distracted because you're hungry and you'll have to take a test, which is two combinations that I don't think works well. Definitely doesn't work well for me. Like I said, here's some brain foods. We've got dark chocolate, green tea, eggs. There's different ways these foods can enhance. So we've got like focus and concentration enhancement, and then we've got mood enhancement and memory improvement. So all of these foods kind of have these key ingredients that can help enhance, whether it be like studying or right before a test, help with your concentration kind of thing. We also have wild salmon, acai berries, blueberries, cranberries, and pomegranate. So nice little snacks or foods that you can incorporate in your diet that can help improve your feelings and relieve some of that anxiety for you before a test. So on test day, why not try, make a good breakfast for yourself, incorporate some salmon, scramble some eggs, have a few berries for snacks. Just kind of see how you can incorporate those foods to help relieve your anxiety. And, worst case scenario, you've had a healthy breakfast. And best case scenario, you're improving your grades. So why not give it a try? It's definitely something you want to incorporate. So, what can be done during the test? So, during the test, you want to avoid talking to students that have negative ideas about this test. You don't be around people that are talking about, oh, I'm going to fail, I'm going to do this, because you know that you're not going to. You've already studied, you've prepared, you're trying to keep those negative thoughts away from you. You want to be positive about it, go into it with confidence. You also want to take a few moments to maybe think about how you're feeling, write down some of your thoughts, relieve some of that anxiety you may be facing before that test. And you want to pick a space where you can be comfortable in, not distracted, so you can focus wholly on this test. And you want to possibly have like a little snack or a bar that you can kind of snack on in case you need something. Also, you want to make sure you're reading directions carefully and glance over the whole test just to kind of get like a feel for what you're going into. You want to kind of like start your engine, get yourself thinking over the material, and realize what you might have to budget your time for. Kind of look over where you want to spend the most time on, where you might not have to spend that much time on, etc. Also, don't be afraid to change positions, do a little stretches, take some sips of water, and take a moment to breathe some. You don't want to deal with all of this anxiety at once. You're already taking the test, you know what you're doing. It's okay to remind yourself that you have the time, just breathe through it, and you've got it. Also, if you go blank on a question, it's okay to skip it and just come back later to it. So keep all those facts in mind. And then lastly, what can be done after the test? Once you complete a test, you kind of want to temporarily forget about it. You don't want to actually go back and try to figure out, oh, maybe I got this wrong, maybe I got that wrong, and try to look up the answers. You don't want to do that because that causes you to actually carry that anxiety with you. You don't want to continue to. You've already done your best. You want to remind yourself, went in there, did the best I could, etc. I know personally, I am a person that will go back and try to look and see, oh, did I get this wrong? Did I remember this? Don't do that. It just causes you to continue to worry about something that's already happened. You went in, did your best. You're going to want to review the test once you get back, see what kind of study habits worked for you, what was effective, what wasn't, and take note of all of this. Take note of things that you can do better next time, what maybe you can do to improve your test grade, etc. And celebrate. Don't be afraid to treat yourself, okay? You got through it, you handled it, and you're going to continue to overcome this problem. You're going to gain more confidence in yourself, and you're going to continue to do great. So don't be afraid to celebrate. These lists are some cognitive interventions and emotional interventions. You want to be aware of your thoughts, and you want to give yourself a positive self-talk. You want to put the test in perspective and also talk yourself through it while you're actually handling it. So on task self-talk. Then some emotional interventions include finding someone you can talk to about your feelings, journaling, you doing a productive activity, something you can continue to do, and recognize that you don't have to always act on your feelings. So make sure you're keeping your feelings in check as well. And some physical interventions include exercising, yoga, practicing different nutrition, proper sleep, meditation, prayer, and relaxing through prescribed breathing. So take care of your body. You want to make sure you're incorporating these physical interventions, cognitive interventions, and emotional interventions. Make sure you're not constantly overwhelmed because that can just lead to burnout and you just don't want to have to deal with that. So here's that prescribed breathing technique I mentioned at the beginning. It lists out a few steps to, guide yourself through it. You can do this before a test, after test, or during the test. And it just gives you a few seconds to kind of adjust and relax. You want to make sure that you're using this to your advantage. If it helps you relax, then you definitely want to take part of it. The steps are simple and easy. You want to keep your feet flat on the ground. You want to unclasp your arms and keep your eyes closed. You're going to inhale for 3 seconds, hold it for 12 seconds, and then exhale for 6 seconds. That's inhale 3, hold 12, exhale 6. And you're going to try to do 6 rounds of this. Feel free to do more or less. You just want to do as many as you need to kind of get yourself in that relaxed state to kind of relieve some of that anxiety. And then you're going to sit and relax and continue these breathing techniques until you're fully kind of adjusted. So I even encourage you to try it right now if you have a moment, feet flat on the ground, inhale 3, hold 12, exhale 6, do a few rounds of this, and then relax until your breathing returns to normal. All right, this concludes our Test Anxiety Pass workshop. I do encourage all of you to check out our Time Management Pass workshop, the Procrastination one, and the Study Skills one. All of these are kind of incorporated together, and they all help promote academic success within students, and they can be really helpful. They're all kind of like interlinked, and be improving yourself in more than one skill sets that all of these past workshops kind of focus on can really improve your academic journey. Any student can pass. It just takes a level of determination and the right skills. So I definitely encourage all of you to attend. And you can check our website, counseling.kennesaw.edu, for any kind of upcoming dates. And of course, lastly, these are our counseling and psychological services resources, our website, counseling.kennesaw.edu, and our Marietta campus and Kennesaw campus location and phone number. Feel free to give us a call anytime you need anything. Remember, these services are accessible to students, and it's a resource you want to take advantage of. There's always somebody to be here for you and somebody you can always reach out to. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope this was helpful. Good luck, and you guys got this. You can do anything you put your mind to. Thank you all, and I hope you have a great day.